Grant, if you're talking, we're not hearing you.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were going to open us up. We just talked about that.
Oh, I thought you were going to open it up, but I will open it up. Welcome,
Okay.
everybody. Today we're going to talk about Tunisia. We have a friend of the show, Ayed, on, and he is born and raised and lives in Tunisia. And we thought that it would be interesting to get a perspective on world events from North Africa. If you're not aware of where Tunisia is, it's in North Africa.
And it's like you could throw a rock at it from Italy. It's right there.
Exactly. Hey
and
guys.
you could bounce the rock off of the coast of Tunisia from Italy and hit France. So
All right.
right
Yeah,
there
I think
the
in
two.
times of drought, there's a land bridge between the two.
Probably so. Maybe a bunch of Roman ships that are wrecked on the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. But Ayed, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you guys. So,
So as
yeah.
far as Tunisia, the roots of your country are
Mhm.
date back to like Roman times, right? So we just said
Oh, yeah.
they're super close to each other. So Tunisia was in ancient times known as Carthage. That's who the Romans fought in one of my favorite historical books, Polybius, the Histories. He actually starts the idea of tracking the history of the Romans, and he says you really have to go back to this time when they were first fighting Carthage to really get a perspective on the Roman Empire.
Exactly. And we actually do have, the Carthage Colosseum here and other ruins all over the place from the Roman, era. So it's crazy, and what you can see and discover here in Tunisia, even though it's a very small country, but it has a lot of history,
You
big, long history.
Grant, there's also Star Wars, the desert,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
the sand people, and the desert landscapes were filmed in Tunisia back in what, the late 70s, early 80s.
1976.
There you go.
Yep.
You would know that.
Yeah, and the
Any of the
name of
modern
the
dunes?
planet,
Did any of
no,
that?
not the modern ones, but it actually got the names of one of the planets, I mean, in Star Wars, from actually a city called Tatooine, right here in Tunisia, which actually I'm from a city which is like 12 kilometers, like, 10 miles or less away from Tatooine. Tatooine is a very small, tiny city in the desert. So we have the desert down south, and we have up north. You go, it's it's the Mediterranean, so it's super nice beaches with mountains sometimes, and it's for me, it's probably some of the best, like beaches you can visit. The desert, it's not big, but it's big enough. So and it's a desert, so it have oases, and it's beautiful. I mean, literally two different um, landscapes. I mean, in a very small country, very small.
Well, the geography of Tunisia definitely figures into, our title is Tunisia Triggers World Events, and we were talking before the show how often Tunisia is a bellwether for change that happens in the world. The Arab Spring in 2008
Yep.
really took off with a protest self-immolation there.
Exactly.
And can you sum that up for us, Ayed? What was he protesting in 2008?
Oh, it was mostly for the all the prices that are going crazy for everything, like inflation. Let's say it that way. Inflation was the main, and then because they turned against kind of the government, because I mean they were like, hey, what's happening? I mean, prices are going crazy, and we had this second president who was a big dictator, and we kind of kicked him out. And it all started kind of like from there. Arab Spring literally started with kicking out the president and the government, kind of like shutting down the government. Like that guy was like, burned himself, like immolated himself right in front of the big, like kind of like capital, I'd say, like kind of the government, like a big institution we have downtown. He did it right in front, and it all went crazy. Everybody went out on the streets and started all screaming like, out, out, out of the country, kind of like trying to get him to get away. And that's what he did. He flew out to Saudi Arabia, where he actually died. I mean, may he rest in peace, but he died there not long ago. So yeah, that's how it all started. It was because of inflation and how the prices were going crazy, because of all the corruption, because of all the injustice that was going on. And it all started like that, and it went crazy. It went from Tunisia to Libya to other countries around, Algeria, and bam, 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 and it all escalated like super fast. I wasn't. I was super. I was shocked and I didn't know it was. I thought it was going to happen only in Tunisia, and then all of a sudden it was all over the place. All the Arab countries kind of started doing the same thing. Some of them, got a good result. Some of them did not get as good as result as we did. And we kind of like moved.
Yeah. What about today? Like how is the political situation in Tunisia today? Does it feel, there's this buzzword in America of democratic. I'm sure you're well aware of it. I know you're aware of it. But does it feel fair? Does it? Do you care if it's democratic or do the people care? What's the government situation in Tunisia like today?
Oh, I mean, right now, elections are coming. It's this new president. It's our third president in Tunisia since we got our independence from the French. And this one actually is changing things, because I think geopolitical, affairs like that are going on. I mean, as I said maybe last time, he's the first president that visited China. Is our third president. He's the first one that is starting like to cooperate and change relationships instead of same as usual French in our relations, or American relations, or German or British. And now we're changing kind of like, I would say side, but kind of like whoever we're working with, and it's doing good, because everything is moving. We see it. We can see it. Infrastructure is getting better. I mean, it's still not a, it's, I don't know, it's not a, European country, but it kind of, going that way. We're moving that way. What's happened? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, so interesting that the government of Tunisia is courting China. Are the other North African countries also doing so? We hear a little bit about China.
Not all of them, but some of them, yes. But some stay, in the same position because they have, good deals, good relationships. Let's say Morocco, for example. But Tunisia is definitely changing that, way of that's what's have been going on for the last, like, let's say 30 years, which was the same.
Tunisia is not part of the EU. Who does Tunisia aligned with as far as geopolitically?
Oh, it's an African country. I mean, it's part of Africa, which people would think, oh, you're African. I mean, when people say, it's like generally you say you're from Africa, they will pretend you're not black. I'm not. No, it's it's not only black people in Africa, but it's funny. But yeah, we are an African country. We're part of the African kind of like I don't know how to call it. Well, North Africans are kind of like by themselves. We have the Maghreb. We call it in French, the Maghreb. Maghreb is the North African. It means kind of Maghreb means Morocco also, but it's the North African countries. It's 5 countries. It's Libya, Algeria.
Do you guys have like a free trade agreement amongst those 5 nations or anything like that?
Yes, those five nations have like agreements between each other, kind of like, so they work with each other, kind of like, but they still have different geopolitical relationships, which is now everything is changing because, as I said, we are kind of like our new president is trying to change those relationships and stop kind of like using Tunisia. Let's stop that. You know, the French, the German, the British, everybody's using it as much as they can. It's like we're under them, so we have to work with them because they've been here first and they established relationship with the previous president and the one before, and of course, we were a French colony, so it makes sense that we kind of like have this relationship with France or other European countries. But now everything's changed, and this is the first time this is happening. Uh, we got some. I mean, I don't know if you heard of this news, but like maybe a month ago, like it was kind of like big in Tunisia because they said, "Oh, the Americans are kind of like scared about Tunisia. They're scared for Tunisia because some airplanes from Russia just landed in Tunisia, and what is going on in Tunisia?" Which is not true. Actually, nothing happened. And even if it's true, what I can say is what's the big deal? What, mind your business. I mean, if we have Russian airplanes coming, that's our problem. That's our business. I mean, why would you be scared or why would you be preoccupied because we have Russian coming to Tunisia? Yes, we do sometimes. Yeah, we have tourists. We have. If it's not, I mean, it's none of your business. So some stuff like that you'll see it in French TV. I saw it in French TV, and I saw it in Moroccan TV. Actually, I mean, the way they put it, it's like America is preoccupied about Tunisia because some Russian planes are landing in, and it's been for like a week talking about it on the news. Everybody was talking about, oh, Russians are here. Okay, and it was actually not true. And finally, it ended up being a wrong, a completely intox, so completely wrong information. So why would they do that? I don't know how the news work. Why would they talk about Tunisia in that time? They needed something. I don't know, but what's going on is crazy because our relationship, geopolitical relationship, are completely changing, and it's a kind of like a new beginning for Tunisia. Leaving that European kind of American relations, and now we're building new relations with China and other countries
So
around.
as far as
Yeah.
like your country's relationship to the United States, is this a place that United States citizens routinely travel to on, like, say, vacation, or what is the relationship between the U.S. and Tunisia?
Yes. Well, we have a lot of American tourists, that's for sure. I meet a lot of them from all over the U.S. Actually, no matter where the state. Well, it would be more east side, but I guess closer. Uh, but besides that, yes, we do have a lot of relationships with the U.S. because we are very close to Libya. Down south, we are actually neighbors with Libya, and Libya has petrol, and and so on and so on. So the frontier in Tunisia down south are very important to a lot of different countries. It's strategically one of the best, if not the best, location in Africa, strategically talking, because if you're in Tunisia, you can go anywhere pretty much uh, to Africa, but you are still very close to Europe. And that's why we have the shippings and the ports there are crazy. So we have a lot of back and forth to Italy, France, Germany, a lot of ships going back and forth. Knowing that Tunisia is not a big production like uh, country, we don't have a lot of our own product. We have olive oil, and we have a lot of touristic kind of economy. We really think our touristic economy is blooming right now. It's going crazy. We have people from all over the place. I mean, I've seen Koreans in Tunisia, which was for me unusual. Literally, like seeing like Koreans or on the beach. I mean, it's just wow. Okay, now we have everybody here. Like the whole world is visiting Tunisia, kind of like for it's touristic. We have tons of hotels here. It's like hotels all over the place. We have cities that are famous for hotels, like Hammamet, Sousse, those big cities with big hotels, super nice, big like 5 stars hotels. And so yeah, touristic part, olive oil, and then what? That's pretty much it. Anything else? We have to kind of import, which means we have to deal with European countries or other countries, mainly European countries, Germany, Italy, and France.
What
So
about
yeah.
Turkey? Ed? You haven't mentioned Turkey, and yet I know that's both an outsized economy, a member of NATO, not a member of the European Union, but also a Muslim country. What's Tunisia's
Hmm.
relationships with Turkey?
Okay, that's another big subject. Their relationship with Turkey. Turkey. I don't know if how can I put it. When you go to a talk about uh, I hate that word, terrorism in the world, the hub, the passage from any country in Africa to Syria or whatever, any other like extremist kind of where countries are going crazy and all those wars that are going on, they go through Turkey. And it was at a certain point, it was a kind of like the passage. That's how you go. You go from Tunisia to Turkey to Syria, and you usually die there. It's just crazy for me. It's like the worst thing ever. Uh, and I think a lot of people are like in a good relationship with Turkey, but I would say that so many people lost their kids that went through that part, and they started like it became like we hate that country because it's the passage. That's how they go from there to that point where they're gonna
And
die in the
when you
war.
say when you say sort of a migration from, you're talking about Europe, you're talking about people who immigrated to Europe from North Africa, the Middle East, and then maybe a generation later we're going back sort of to fight in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Is that sort of the movement that you're talking about? And was Turkey?
Yeah.
Do you think that Turkey was egging that on, like facilitating that? I know Tunisia, regardless, just because of its proximity to Italy and to France across the Mediterranean, has become a point of immigration, and that's a tension between you guys and the European Union. Um,
Yep.
what
Yeah. That's a
and
so yeah, you were right. What you just said was exactly because uh, Turkey not long ago was that checkpoint to go to Syria or whatever. And I can talk from my own experience. I had my wife's cousins, two of them left for Syria, and they went through Turkey and then went to Syria, which was crazy. And then we got text message. That's all they got. They got a text message saying, "Hey, your kid died in the war." That's horrible because. But the thing is, they didn't leave from here. That's the main part. They were students, college students, and one of them was in France and the other one was in Switzerland. And I guess they met the wrong people and they got into the wrong groups and it all went, so fast. It took 6 months, 6 months for them to just leave and start like fighting for something they don't know, I guess.
and to bring it to the present, like right now,
Hmm.
are seeing we're seeing lots of reports, at least on Twitter, of
Hmm.
tension, immigration tension, Muslim slash Christian tension in the UK. It always seems to be a latent issue in France, but right now, especially in Ireland and England, it seems to be really a hot topic. is this something that is in the news in Tunisia? Do you see people? Um, what are you seeing with regards to that?
Right now, the main concern, what you see on the news or hear about or talk about, and I see it even not even on the news, I see it on the street, is a lot of sub-Saharan, moving, trying to immigrate to European countries, especially the Italy or France or the Germany, and the checkpoint for them is Tunisia. So it's like, we have to go through the desert, like go through African desert, get to Libya, from Libya to Tunisia, and then from Tunisia take a boat. And man, I've seen horrible things, literally horrible things. I've seen like 40 people on a 5 meter boat. That's like, almost impossible. I don't know how that boat actually can hold it. That's not sink. And they try to, immigrate on a little tiny boat. And it's expensive. I mean, yesterday I was at a park and I just stopped and this guy comes to me. He's like, "Hey, can you help me with some money?" I'm like, "What for?" He's like, "I'm trying to get to Italy." I'm like, "Well, how old are you?" He's like, 23. "Where do you come from?" "Cameroon." "What are you doing here? How did you get here? What did they promise you? Who did you pay? I mean, all those questions that are running through my head. I'm like, man, do you know how tough it is? I mean, I know Italy is right there, but you get in a boat with like 30 other people or more. The boat can't hold 5 people, 10 people top. And, you have no idea what the wind can change, and all of a sudden everybody's on the ground, on the water. And it's just, I've heard some of my friends tell me like we've seen like some corpse coming on the shore sometimes, and it's crazy to see that. It's so sad. So yeah, so this whole like immigration thing, it is what we talk about that a lot on the news, on the, you talk about when you talk with your friends, like, because we see that a lot of immigrants are trying to get from Tunisia to other countries, and they kind of sometimes they get stuck here. They get stuck. They can't even make it. And what can they do? They have no papers, nothing. So Tunisian government has to regulate their situation, you know. But at the same time, and then what can we do with them? And send them back? You can't send them back. They don't want to go back. They don't want to go back to their country. But at the same time, they want to go to an European country, but they can't. I mean, there's no way. So this whole like conflict, between Europe and Tunisia, because it's kind of like the checkpoint, the part where everybody stops. It's going crazy. We talk about that a lot. So yeah, that's one thing to mention. Tunisia is now kind of like a go through. Like all the sub-Saharan Africans are coming, go to Libya and Tunisia and then up. They try to get to the water.
What do you think of Viktor Orban is the president of Hungary? Hungary has been is also a place in which a lot of migration is crossing and impacts Hungary. Uh, Hungary has been adamantly opposed to allowing anyone through. I'm not sure what all they engage in dissuading people. But is that something on Tunisian radar or?
Well, you know what? To be honest, I think it's kind of like I don't want to say stupid, but I kind of like it's an injustice because let's put it this way. Why actually won't you try to get all those immigrant and get them their visa, a work visa or I don't know, student visa, and if if they fail, I mean, they have to go back. I mean, it would be so much easier to actually say, okay, I'll let them in, but under conditions. I know it's not easy. We talk about it here too. Same deal. Like if we stop, don't let anyone come in. I can stop everything, but then it would change all those relationships between African countries and stuff are going on. Or just try to regulate and make everything regular. Like let's say You have your papers, like, okay, you showed up from Cameroon or Nigeria or whatever. Okay, let's say, how old are you? What's your name? Blah, blah, blah. Give you some kind of paper that gives you like a couple of months or maybe more, just to see if you can actually make it. Maybe you can make it here. Maybe, and why does not Europe do that? That's what, for me, one big question. Besides the visa part that we have to go through, imagine everything that those immigrants are going through when they get there. I know a guy personally, like I know a guy that immigrated 3 times and got kicked out and came back to Tunisia 3 times. That's a lot. And he was telling me about the conditions. I was like, how did you survive here? What did you do? I mean, well, he was telling me that they kind of like corner them in a tiny, like, let's not space, but like just a residential area, I would say, and they will like kind of not let them get out of there. They don't have nowhere to sleep, nothing to eat, nothing to drink, and those red croissant, the people that help, the red, what's a red croissant rouge in French? I don't know how to call that. Yeah, they will come and give them like some food at nighttime, and that's the only meal they get, is some food and some water once a day. It's like, there are cats on the street that cannot leave the area, and they'll stay there for like, maybe they'll leave them there for maybe 2 or 3 months, and then cops will come to them and say, hey, we have a deal for you. We give you $1,000 or 1,000 euros, and you go back to Tunisia. Go back. I will give you 1,000, you never come back. And what they do, they take the 1,000, they come back, a few months later, once again on a boat, go back to Italy, same deal. And they try again and again. And that's, for me, that's crazy, because they know they're there. They give them food like once a day. They treat them in a way that is not very human. But at the same time, they come and give them this deal and give you 1,000 euro, go back to your country or go back to Tunisia, and never show up again. But that's not how you're going to stop it, because they keep trying and trying again. A lot of them, I would say, when I say a lot, I'd say 50% of them die in the water. We don't talk about this. A lot of people don't talk about it, the people that drown like crazy. I have a friend that was telling me that his brother try to get in one of those boats, and they didn't even, like, the first 2 miles, not even, and he noticed that the waves were going crazy. He jumped out of the boat and he thought he was going to drown, but he made it back like a mile and a half, swimming back to the shore. And actually he was right, because everybody else on the boat didn't make it. So all those stories, we hear about it are just unbelievable, and it's all because of those territory kind of like limits we have. I mean, because I have a Tunisian passport, I cannot go to any European country unless I go through a visa process and check background, blah blah blah, and it's a 50-50 chance to get it, even for someone with a all good, like, I mean, you can be like all like, your situation can be good, everything is good, but just because one little detail, just, I don't know, I've heard some crazy stuff about visa, like a rejection. Like some girl like was rejected. That was the funniest one, because her father kept an account for her.
So travel is much more restricted as far as.
Yeah, travel is very restricted in visa. Yeah.
Is that within the country, or just when you try to travel outside the country?
No, when you try to travel outside the country. So I would say with a Tunisian passport, I'm allowed to go to 26 countries in the world without a visa. When I say without a visa, it doesn't mean regular. It can be just a piece of paper. It's considered as a visa that you get when you just get to the country. But then the other ones, like to go to France, Italy, Germany, pretty much anywhere in Europe, you have to go. First, you need to get an appointment. To get an appointment, it's about like 3 to 4 months wait. Now, I'm not kidding. It's crazy. Then you get the appointment, and they go through this interview, and it's the craziest interview you'll ever hear. Like, what was your grandfather's job, and your parents exactly what did they do, and crazy question about your whole like family, history, everything, and then about you, about your work, about your intention, why are you visiting, and now they ask for another thing, and which is when you come back from those countries, you have to give them the exact details of where you've been, where did you stay, what I mean. Why should I go through all this? That's like crazy. And this is all happening because of all this immigration situation. I mean, I don't think any other countries go through this. I mean, I'm talking about African countries and that European countries, American countries. They don't know this. I mean, they will never. I mean, have to go through an interview and wait 3 or 4 months. Imagine you want to travel and you have to you know, wait 3 months to get an appointment, and then you get this interview, and then you may fail the interview just because I don't know your grandfather had like a I don't know problem with a cop long ago. It's just like crazy. It's just anyway. So
What,
yeah, traveling is not the easiest way.
what about travel or tour? Did Tunisians go to sub-Saharan Africa? Is that like on their radar? Does everybody like want to go
Yeah,
to?
we can pretty much. Yeah, a lot of African like sub-Saharan countries are kind of open frontiers. Like we can visit anywhere pretty much in Africa without needing a visa. So, but it mainly concerns Europe, the United States, Canada, even like Latin countries, South America, and
So
some countries in Asia.
as far as the current state of world affairs, what's the Tunisian perspective on the conflict or genocide in Gaza?
Oh, I would say 100% free Palestine. Like Tunisians are so. I would say actually our president was I think from what I remember, the first one to actually talk about Tunisian manifestations started literally on October 8th. Like it's just like I mean it was crazy. I mean Tunisia are so that we're all 100% with Palestine. I've seen artists on TV saying if we could only go, we will just go, and whatever happens. We just help there with whatever we can. Journalists, doctors. Oh my God, so many doctors here tried to go and couldn't make it. We have so many good doctors. Actually, a lot of Americans come here to, for either surgery or stuff like that. It's crazy because we have very, very good doctors, and most of them are in France actually. So they work in France. Anyway, so yeah, a lot of people are so into. I myself still like try to whatever share stories or anything that can help because I know people forget. I know it's been a long time, and all we talk about when we talk about violence, when is it gonna stop, and how can we stop it? I mean, this is not doesn't make sense for me. It's not a war. Literally, it's not a war. It's so unfair. It's obviously a genocide. I mean, how many people right now? 39,000 dead people and 91,000 something injured. That doesn't make sense with kids and women. And I mean, if you're talking about when I think war, I think like military from here and military from the other side, like two sides, and they are both kind of like fighting equally. That's for me what it's called a war. This I don't call this a war anyway. So that's Tunisian point of view.
And
It's
what's your perspective of Iran in the conflict?
Oh, that's another story. That's another long story. I don't really know a lot about it, so I'm not gonna try to say anything that is maybe not right. But it's actually not. All this is still some stuff are not fair. That's what I'm saying. When you look at it, some things are not fair, and
Well,
that's what really what. Tell me.
well, I ask because I mean we saw that Israel assassinated a leader of Hezbollah in Iran, and
Yeah.
the leader was staying in a military safe house that Israel had pre-planted a bomb in and detonated whenever they confirmed that he was staying there. So, and since then we've seen, you brought up Russia and Russia planes and concerns Morocco and France about Russian planes in Tunisia, but we've definitely seen an alignment in of Russia and Iran in backing Hezbollah and backing Gaza and the Palestinians. Are you guys hearing the same things there? Was that
Yeah, we're hearing the same things. I mean, I don't know much about it, but what you've heard is exactly what I've heard too. What I'm reading also on the news, what I'm seeing. But I think this is all like, I mean, it's way bigger. I mean, it's probably something that we cannot really know exactly what's happening, but it's the whole geopolitical, affairs going on, and I don't think we can really tell who's doing what exactly, but some stuff are just that do not make as much sense as they should. But yeah, so I can't really tell you exactly, but we're hearing the same stuff. We're definitely hearing that.
you also said that you share the stories of the conflict that come across, and I know you're talking about, or largely on Instagram. I know you share a lot of the videos that spread. I assume there's other platforms that those are being shared around with, but can you tell us what happens when you share those on Instagram?
Oh, it literally Instagram. I mean, now we know kind of how it works. If you share more than like maybe, I don't know, 10 to 15 story a day, it will start kind of bugging, but it's not really bugging. Which for me it was like, at first I thought it was bugging. It kind of turns like the screen turns white, and you still wait for share, and it doesn't like share your story. But a lot of my friends been telling me, I just have to wait. Sometimes you can wait up to 20 minutes, and it's just crazy. You think it's bugging it, you wait, and then it will go through. Or sometimes you'll get this, notification that if you keep sharing, they're gonna like ban you. Now that's like a message you get if you keep sharing contents that are not morally, you know, uh, anyway. So yeah, that happens a lot, but we keep sharing anyway. And if they stop us, I mean, if they ban us, they will get another account. I know a guy had 19 accounts. He started like 19 accounts, but that guy was like really crazy, sharing like every minute he will share a story or whatever. So yeah, they will definitely stop you. I mean, they'll try to stop you from sharing, especially when your account is big and when you have like a big number of followers. So
and I was so to that, like how much, what percentage, or what are the most popular apps with regards to communication? And I was surprised. That Tunisians, or at least you, aren't like more present on Twitter because of Twitter's role in the 2008 Arab Spring that went on there.
yeah.
A lot of the organization, I know, was done, and even was the reason that Twitter was created to begin with. But what else do people use? Do they use Telegram? Do most people use Instagram? How does that look?
Well, I would say Instagram will be some of the top like social network using like platforms, and then you have Facebook, and then you have TikTok. TikTok is actually getting crazy. It's going up. Okay. More and more people are using TikTok right now. So I would say those three are the most used like platforms. Somehow Twitter is not a big thing here in Tunisia. Actually, some people don't even know about Twitter. It's just for me, like, well, how do you don't know about it? I mean, even though they will percentage talking, I would say 10% of Tunisians use Twitter. Up to 80% use Instagram. 50% of them will use Facebook, and now TikTok is just launching. It's just going up and up and up crazy. Like more and more people are using TikTok, and I can tell because when I meet people, they're like, "Hey, do you have TikTok account?" I'm like, "Not yet, but yeah, I should get a TikTok account. Everybody's on TikTok right now." So it's like a new trend, a new thing. Everybody's sharing. Oh, TikTok, you will see stuff you would never see. You can get information from TikTok that you can't get from in Instagram, or you can get. Even though I don't know if it's true, but I know that everybody's starting using more and more TikTok and sharing more on TikTok than
And
before.
we saw that Turkey canceled or has blocked the use of Instagram in the country. Are they turning to
Yeah.
TikTok, or is there some other? What,
Oh,
what do people use
oh,
there?
well, I don't know, but I know Facebook for sure. That's one thing. But TikTok, yeah, I would say, yeah, I've seen a lot of Turkish people using TikTok for different reasons. But yes, I don't know what's going on with TikTok, but lately sorry, it's been one of the platforms that like really grow in terms of memberships in like Arab countries, I would say. Not only Turkey, but also Lebanon, Egypt. So a lot of them are using more and more TikTok. Like Middle East is getting into TikTok also crazy. So yeah, that's what I'm noticing. That's what
Yeah,
I'm noticing.
we haven't mentioned Egypt yet, which is I would say probably the largest population of the North Africa countries. I'm not sure offhand. Uh,
Yeah, it is. It's like 80 millions or more. Yeah,
well, and
somewhere.
it had the roughest go of or maybe maybe not. But Egypt seemed to have the roughest go of political turmoil back in the wake of the Arab Spring. What are things like there today? How is Egypt is also a neighbor to Palestine.
Yep. Yeah.
Sometimes we wonder, um, what's going on with allowing Palestinians to flee.
Yeah, that part.
Yeah, what's
Mm.
going on with all of that?
Yeah, I've kind of like thought you would ask about that. I don't want to really like, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I don't know what kind of deal they have, what kind of like geopolitical affairs they have between them. But it was kind of tough. Tunisians were kind of upset in general. Like I'm talking population, like Tunisian population were like, when it all started, it when the war started, when the genocide started, Tunisians were kind of upset with their neighbors, like with their Egyptian neighbors, saying, "Hey, just let them be, just let them go, open the frontier. What are you doing?" Now we had a lot of those, discussions not long ago with friends, with people around here in Tunisia, saying, "What's wrong with them? Why wouldn't they let?" I don't know what's going on. I don't know why, but they should have opened the frontier, man. Man, with what we see now, when you think about it, you think like, okay, 39,000 people died. Maybe if they open the frontier, maybe much less. Much less. And that's one thing. It's raging. It's like it hurts. I mean, you think about it, you go, why? Why wouldn't you do it? I mean, just let them be, let them flee
Uh,
their country, and go.
is
So,
it is support for Palestine split among the Egyptians, or are the people of Egypt
uh,
and the government not? Is that what's going on?
I, I think it's. I mean, the people out there. I mean, I don't know exactly, but I think population-wise, I think the people are 100% with Palestine. But when it comes to government, I have no idea how it goes with their government. I don't know about the Egyptian government, but I think it's obvious that somehow there are some geopolitical relationship that we don't know. So yeah. Anyway.
I almost want to talk about Jordan, but we've we're going all over around. I hate to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
You mentioned TikTok earlier, and I know Ayed that you would be a perfect You would be a perfect TikToker because you have
I
how many cats do you have?
have 27 cats. Yeah, I do. I have
20,
27. Yeah, yeah,
27.
it's a lot.
That's a lot of cats.
That's a
Um,
lot of cats. They all cats, from stray cats that were in a very, difficult situation. That's why I picked them. You find a kitty that is missing a leg. You can't leave a kitty with a missing leg. There's no way I can leave a kitty with a missing leg in the street. So yeah, a lot of them. That's how I got them. Some of them just showed up to the house. They showed up and stayed, and some of them just I found on the street. So yeah, take care of cats. Well,
well,
cats are very big, very very popular in Tunisia. So yeah, very big.
we're not videoing here, but you also have a beautiful home with but earlier you called me earlier because you mentioned that there are rolling blackouts in Tunisia right now. Can you tell me what's going on with regard to I don't the weather and the situation with electricity there right now?
Oh yeah, so it's like pretty much it. Like every summer, we go through this like very hot like period of time, like when you get super hot, get over 110, 120, sometimes it's just crazy hot. And so the government, to reduce, the usage of AC, they just cut the electricity, which, makes sense. Just one little detail, like just let me know when you're going to cut it because that's the only thing they don't tell you. They don't tell you they're going to do it. And that's for me not fair because I'll be like working and all of a sudden, poof, nothing. Everything went down, shut down. So yeah, they do that, and they do that with water when it's really dry, and when it gets really dry and missing water, they will just cut the water for a few hours, usually nighttime for the water and daytime for the electricity, like between 12 and 4 p.m. So that's that, like when it's really hot. I'm saying really hot. It's really, really hot. It gets hot here. So I mean, some part of the US it gets hot, but yeah, here too.
Yeah, I think you're
So,
talking over 110 degrees there. What
oh yeah, I'm talking 120. Yeah.
Oh boy, 120 degrees. That's hot. What kind of construction is your house? Are the homes in Tunisia, are they adobe? Are they stick built? Like how are they
Um,
cool when
how do
it's
you call them in French? I would say bricks. No, no, it doesn't work. No, that's not an
are they
English word.
cinder block construction then? Cinder block?
Well, some of them, a lot. The old houses are made of stone, so it's super resistant and like the big stones. Like my dad's house is made of stone, which is very good for the weather because it keeps a same temperature inside. Even though it's very hot outside, the temperature stays pretty mild, very good inside. And the new construction will be in cement. I would say, yeah, cement. So most of them in cement. So the houses are mostly white. We use a lot of white. So paint houses in white, and the how do you call it? The ceiling, the top, like top of the house, it's flat. It's not because we actually don't have snow. It doesn't snow here. So I mean, there's no snow here. We don't ski actually in Tunisia. I mean, there is a little bit of snow down up north, maybe just a little bit, but usually it doesn't snow in Tunisia. So the
And
houses are flat on the top.
and you say and the cement homes don't stay cool in the summer the same as stone does?
No, they get warm during the summer and they get cold during the winter. So yeah, they're not very, easy to live inside. So if you don't have AC during the summer, I mean, it's definitely not the easiest way. I for myself don't use AC that much. I actually don't have one in my bedroom, and every day I wake up and there is a silhouette of me on the bed because I've sweated so much. So yeah, it's painful. It's painful. It's not easy. Yeah, during these days, especially like these special days, they get to this crazy temperatures. It just goes by. It's like a week. We have a lot of good weather here. Let's say 6 to 7 months of the year, you can jump on the water and it's cool, nice. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. Water's perfect temperature. But then we have a couple of months of winter, and then a few months of spring. It's changing. It's not as usual. We have more like hotter weather during the year. Like it's longer. It starts in April and it ends in October. So from April to October, you're definitely good to swim every day.
And does everyone go to the beach in Tunisia? I mean, it seems to me like most of the population lives along the coast.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody goes to the beach. I mean, during the weekend, the beach gets crazy packed. And as we talked about last time, it's funny to see the beaches with all these different categories. I would say call it. It's crazy when you go to the beach in Tunisia. I don't think people will like believe it when they see it. I mean, we don't see it much, but as I said, you would see complete like extremist kind of like Muslim, and then you from the other side you see like a girl with a bikini and a thong. I mean, just jumping around on the water with her boyfriend kissing. Even though it's extreme for us. Usually, you say, "Whoa, okay, what's going on?" And from one side you see this, and the other side you see this, and they're all together swimming, all good, nothing's wrong. You know, they don't fight or they don't do anything. It's just everybody's accepting everybody. It's like you let me be, I'll let you be. Just everybody's just happy with their own. It's not about religion. It's about being able to um, accept. How do you say it? Accept? Yeah, accept. Accepter in French.
Interesting.
Tolerate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I would say the American perspective of North Africa and the Middle East is that it's like dominated by conservative Islamic tradition, by the hijab. Is Tunisia an outlier, or is that I don't know, are our perceptions stuck in the 1970s and
Yes, I think it's stuck there, kind of like stuck, because most of the tourists that visit Tunisia for the first time would ask that question. Would be like, "Is it okay to swim with a bikini, for example?" I'd be like, "Yeah, of course. How do you want to? Yeah, sure. You can swim with a bikini. You can swim with a burqa if you want. I mean, you're swimming. You do whatever you want. It's starting getting really open minded, like changing this, view, and we want to have that vision. I mean, people. I would love people to think about Tunisia as a country that is accepting everybody, that is tolerated everything, any religion, whatever, whoever you are. It doesn't matter what religion. Actually, you want to jump in the water with a bikini or with a small shorts, whatever shorts, or with a burqa. It's your problem. Just do it. Just come, enjoy the water, enjoy the food, and that's it. Live your life.
Well, what about I saw the Egyptian women's beach volleyball team was there was a post that I saw on Twitter. It had 70 million views, and the narrative of it, because it captured some European team playing the Egyptian team, and the Egyptian team was playing in long lycra tights and full length arms and hijabs. What uh, is Egypt as I don't know, accepting and free? Was that a decision made by that team? Did you see that, or did it make any of the?
Yes, I did. I did. Where here, the reactions of Tunisians was pretty much, the usual reaction. They would be like, "Who cares what they're wearing? That's their problem. If they want to play like that, they can play like it's the same as when you go to the beach. It's the same thing. Tunisians will react kind of the same. Now we're getting into this, this mentality of, it doesn't matter how you look or what you wear or what your religion is. Just do whatever you have to do. If you can make it, if it helps you play better, then do it. And for us Tunisians, we were kind of shocked. So, can you hear me?
Absolutely. And what about another Olympic story that's seemed to be, a cultural touchstone, has to do with the the Algerian boxer, and the question
Oh yeah,
to
that one. I think that one is kind of ridiculous, though. I mean, uh, I didn't really get it, but I mean, she's a woman. Okay, that we got. Okay, now hormonally, she's you know uh, different, and that's not a problem. I mean, she's still a woman. Okay, I mean, if she's strong, she's a good boxer. She's very strong. Good for her. But for us, it was like, who cares if she's strong or if she can do it? She can do it. Which I don't know if you. I mean, I shared a story yesterday. That's funny. Concerning that, concerning like everybody started talking about it, but no one talked about the Netherlands, I think, beach volleyball player. Have you heard about it?
of course I did.
Okay,
And
but no one talked as much about that than anybody else than the Algerian woman. And everybody was focused on that, but then he was allowed to play fine, all good, no problem. Everybody was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, he raped a girl. Who cares?" But no, if you're gonna talk about this, I mean, what I mean is they turn the subject, and that's no, when I say they, I'm talking about French and European usually. They like to turn the subject to the Muslim kind of Arabic, players. That's the polemics. They talk about that. Oh, look at that Algerian woman. Oh, she's hormonally different. Whatever. She's stronger than everybody else. Looks like a man. Oh, I don't. Who cares how she looks? She's a woman. I
well,
mean, seriously.
there's also the backstory. By the way, the for Grant to Rusty, the listeners, the story about the Dutch beach volleyball player. Uh, he had been charged with statutory rape several years ago, and uh, that's a whole
Yeah.
nother
Yeah.
conversation. But to the Algerian story, I thought what was also very interesting was that and that not a lot of people have paid attention to was that she fought in an international competition and beat a Russian, and it was the Russian doping agency that came back with these tests that questioned
Hmm.
her her DNA,
Well, yeah.
and
Yeah.
and at the same time will not release those results that they allege this. And so I thought, but to me it also spoke to more uh, like Western nations and especially the United States have their own narratives and concerns with I don't know with the trans movement and trans athletes. I think of Leah Thomas. I think it is the swimmer for the University of Texas, and
Hmm.
some of those things going on there. I thought it was. It's a travesty for that boxer and even for the world's like understanding or the disconnect of of uh, of I don't know what like problems or I don't know, first world problems. I guess that's a great word for it. First world problems of some Western nations of Europe and the United States as opposed to North Africa, because it seemed to me that that would not even be in the uh, not widely accepted in Algeria, Libya, Tunisia, or any of those countries. Is that is I don't know. Is there a pronoun movement in Tunisia? Is there a trans movement? Do those things are those things?
Uh, Oh yeah, I mean, there is. It's not big, but yeah, there started like a few years ago. Actually, after the Arab Spring, it all kind of like started changing, and then it used to, I mean, be kind of like taboo, but now it's like kind of more open. And let's say Tunisia had a big like turnaround, like a big swing kind of happened after all that, and people started like be more tolerant, let's say. Yeah, and I and that's yeah, well, yeah. We do have a trans community. We do have a lot of Gay community everywhere. I mean, it's starting looking more like Europe. I would say that's like that. The Tunisia is like the European country in Africa, kind of like, it's like that's how I describe it, kind of. So we have a lot of we kind of like took the good things and use them as we know how, as we wanted to. So because the culture is so different, but then at the same time we do have so many like cultural stuff that we do like French do, or like like when you say hi, you kiss on the cheek, like what you say, it's a lot of stuff like that. I mean, usually kiss on the cheek, and now they do. So
when
anyway,
when I also think of the I don't know, the Russian testing or the International Olympic Committee testing as to what the sex or gender of athletes are. I think also about correlations with drug use with steroids. Um,
yeah,
you and I we played volleyball, and I know that or we played sand volleyball. Disclosure to everyone, you and I used to play a lot of sand
yeah,
volleyball together. Um, when we played, it was I would say that there was a bit of steroid use in the game, and that had to do a lot with there not being not being I don't know, there was not the FIVB tournament, and there weren't regulated tours that
mm,
that were testing athletes. And
yeah.
do you think about that in regards to, like, I don't know, looking at the sand volleyball players of today, and I mean they're
Oh,
not they're not as jacked. I'll put it that way.
yes, yes, that's true. That's true. Which I think it's a good thing, because I mean maybe the use of steroids and stuff like that is dropping. I guess it's and the controls are better. I mean they have better like organization that controls that and check on them and check the players, and maybe the players are getting also how do you say, getting I don't know, what's the word, they think more about it, and then about the results that they will have years after that, and what it can do to them. I think many people are like getting cautious about what steroid can do to you, and so players are getting more cautious about it. So I think that's how it.
Agreed. Agreed. And I think I do like to see sports taking care of the bodies and the futures of their athletes too. Although going back to the Russia
Mhm,
scenario, and part of what I think
mhm.
is unfair, like also um, it brings to mind blood doping in the bicycling community and what Lance
Yeah,
Armstrong went through.
yeah,
And it seems to me it's strange that we live in a world in which there is a, I don't know, a group of quote unquote scientists or outside observers, a some sort of committee that puts cold medications and asthma medications and anabolic steroids all in one basket, and they
yep,
just and
yep,
test these people.
yep.
Um, and it should, to me, see, it should be up to the players. I mean, we were even talking earlier about some of the rule changes that have gone on in sand
Yep.
volleyball,
Yep.
and disgusting, the disgusting, like they allow blockers to throw the ball back to catch it,
Yeah,
throw it as if
make no sense.
basketball.
Yeah,
And
it's not.
and I have to wonder who gets to decide that. Why do they not have the players deciding both what the rules of the sport are, as well as what's allowable or what must be disclosed with regards to
Uh, you're asking the,
authorization?
the question. Who is in charge of that? That's the big question. For me, it's the same. They should let the players kind of decide. The best player, let's say, kind of like decide, or the I don't know, the 1,000 top players of every sport or whatever. I don't know. They can pick a number and then kind of make a vote about different when they want to change a rule, which makes more sense. That the players will vote if it's a rule that should be allowed or not, like throwing the ball on the block. Just Who will accept that? I mean, I don't think any volleyball player is really considering that as a real rule. Like, I mean, they're not. Some of them are doing it because they're new players. So the new generations of players are going to start doing that, and volleyball is completely going to change. So because of that rule, completely change. It changes everything, makes it easier. That's what I think. I think the jump set to the side and all that. I mean, some people are not even, they're lazy to learn how to set anymore because they can jump set. They learn how to jump set to the side before even starting learning how to set regular set. Anyway, so yeah, you're right when you say whoever is deciding, he's not the appropriate person, or whatever people that are deciding are not the appropriate people. They should let the players. For me too, I think same as you, the players should be the one deciding if it's that rule is okay or not.
I don't mean to get too down a volleyball rabbit hole, but while we're talking that, when I played indoor, I was a setter, and my coach was a member of the Olympic team back in the '60s, and I actually side set sometimes. It was a skill that I learned, and it was a Swedish. He told me that it was the Swedes who invented the side set, and it had been which is very funny to see, like where the Swedish sand volleyball team has gone with their use of jump sets and jumping side sets. But when I was a setter, and full disclosure, I have best hands in volleyball right here. But what I found was very interesting was that it does a disservice to your hitter if they don't have uh, they have a better they have a better they have a better attack angle whenever, like, your
Well, because yeah, you open an easy attack, kind of like a surprise attack. It's like a surprise attack. So if the hitter is ready for that side set, kind of like so if he's ready for it, the blocker is completely lost, kind of like.
they have to track the ball in the air, though, so they never take
Yeah.
a sweet swing at it. And whenever your body is projecting where the ball is going to be, and then you can deliver on that without doubling it, that's when hitters really love you. But
Well, yeah. Well, you told me earlier that you haven't watched as many Swedish game on the beach. You should definitely watch. It's not the game we used to play. It's definitely not the game we're playing. And some of the Brazilians are playing the regular way. Americans are playing the regular way. Italians, but Sweden is playing a complete different game. It's like they call it on TV. Oh, the circus show starts. It's the circus. It's crazy. It's a different game because of those new rules. It's affecting the whole game, which for me it's sad, kind of, because those new rules are just ridiculous. They make the game somehow easier for some players if you started learning those new rules. If you started with those rules, then you have an advantage, kind of like, because the older player will have to adjust and adapt to those attacks that are kind of like surprise attack. So anyway, so yeah, for me, I'm not sure, but I think really believe, kind of, that the Sweden are going to make it to the finals. So we'll see. We'll see.
I'm looking at Qatar and Norway, but not to dwell too much on
yeah.
the Swedish team and what's changing.
Yeah.
But I do. I'm interested. Like, what sports do they play in Tunisia? You guys have beaches. Is volleyball growing there? I also, it's been interesting to me to see volleyball erupt in Turkey, and not only Turkey, but I don't know if you watch the variants of volleyball that they play in Pakistan. They have like a 9-person game. Some of the greatest videos that you can watch on YouTube are to watch, like, Pakistani like town volleyball, and they stretch a net across the street, and they have thousands of people gathered around, and they play it has to. It's back over on one, and they take one swing, and they use sort of like the overhead tomahawk.
Yeah, yeah.
Is the
I've seen that. I've seen that. But to answer your first question, so the main sports here is soccer. Man, people are crazy about soccer. I would say there's absolutely no one that doesn't play soccer here. I mean, I've played soccer my whole life because my dad played soccer because my whole family. We used to have like Sunday soccer. It's like a, you can't miss the Sunday soccer with the family. It's like you play with your uncles and cousins, and everybody plays soccer. Like you said, on the street, if I go out on the street right now, I'll probably find kids, putting like a couple of rocks like as a goalie, and they start playing soccer on the street, and they will wait for the cars to go on, and they keep playing. Sometimes you get a soccer ball on your windshield or something. All the time, soccer, soccer, soccer. And soccer fans, I don't know if you heard of Tunisia's soccer fans. They're probably the most like biggest, like craziest fans ever. When you go to the stadium to watch a soccer game, it's like, I don't know if it's like football in the US. It's kind of the same. It's just the main thing. And after soccer, everything else, it's not a sport. Kind of like, it's not considered sport. It's just a hobby. And then soccer is the sport. If you a real Tunisian, that have to play soccer. It's just like a thing,
and
here.
do
Soccer.
y'all have professional leagues, or does
Yeah,
every
yeah, yeah.
national
We
team?
do. We do have. I'll send you a video to show you how the fans starts their games. The openings of the games, and usually it's the big thing. The opening of the game, the African Cup, or the African Club Cup. So it's just crazy, and we usually make it to the final. Tunisia will usually make it to the finals. You know, in terms of soccer. If we go to volleyball, volleyball is actually pretty big here too, but not as big. We got second in the African Cup this year. We got the gold medal last year. We were the African, club. I'm talking clubs, huh? So African best club in Africa. So we ended up playing Egypt actually in the finals last year and this year, same. But last year we won. This year we got second. So yeah, volleyball is actually growing bigger. More and more people are getting into it. What I don't understand is why is beach volleyball not as big? Because of the number of beaches we have here. It's just crazy. We have so many coasts. We have so many nice beaches. The sand is just beautiful everywhere, but we don't have volleyball courts all over, like like in the US or different other countries. So, like in Spain, for example, or France also. So I don't think they're investing. The government is not investing in beach volleyball as much as they should, even though they have the infrastructure. We have the sand. All we miss is just a couple of poles and a volleyball net. So anyway,
You need to start a campaign for that. What else?
I know.
What other
Yeah,
sports are like following soccer?
sports.
Yep.
So handball, not the handball. The handball. I don't know the one. Do you know
Like
hand?
squash.
No, not that one.
Oh,
Not that
pickleball.
one.
Are you talking about pickleball?
No, the handball. That ball that is like a little smaller than a volleyball, and they throw with the hand. It's like they kind of like dribble it for a couple of times or maybe 3 times. You can't. It's a mix between soccer and basketball. It's like a small goalie, and they throw the ball really hard. It's very aggressive sport. You have a certain zone you can go through before you can, score. You have to score from a certain distance. It's called handball. It's actually on the Olympics. I mean, handball. If you Google handball
Yeah,
Olympics, you'll see.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with handball.
Well,
I mean,
that sport is very big also in Tunisia. So you'll have like soccer, and then you'll have volleyball, handball, and some other sports like all those martial arts sports are big here too. Judo, karate, and stuff like that. They're getting bigger. Boxing is also
what
big
about
in Tunisia.
what about bicycling? I know you guys have you're a French colony, and triathlons has
Well,
French love of
that's
Velo.
That's funny because we're not into biking at all. I mean, we don't use bikes here that much. We don't have cycling roads. We don't. I mean, we should, but we don't, which is funny. And funnier, even funnier, a lot of Tunisians don't know how to ride a bike. I mean, don't get me wrong, but it's crazy. Yeah, like I would give an example. My wife don't know how to ride a bike. I mean, so, which for me, it's like, how do you know? You don't know how to ride a bike? I'm like, no, she doesn't. It's not a big bike thing. It's more motorcycles. Those little scooters, motorcycle, like little motorcycles, where you can't go to on the highway with them, but you see all those little kind of tiny motorcycles, like 50 cc, going crazy. Oh, the sound is just annoying. All over the city, all over the downtown. You'll see a lot of motorcycles. They love using motorcycles because it's an easy way to commute here in Tunisia. It's such a small country and downtown. So commuting with motorcycles is much easier than using a bicycle. So
What
not a lot of people use bicycles.
what about what's I don't know, the cultural consumption in Tunisia, like movies, theater, music, like what
Oh,
do you
oh,
guys have like your own internal Tunisian cinema, Tunisian music, or
We do, yes, we do, but it's very small because the production is very small. I kind of actually know a lot about cinema because I'm into that too. So yeah, movies, I would say 10 to 20 movies top per year, Tunisians. That's it. That's not a
and
lot. That's
what sort of subjects do they run down? Do they follow like French
Oh,
Nouveau?
usually it's either drama or comedy. No action movies, no sci-fi, nothing crazy with like visual effects. They like take it very simple movies. It's either comedy or drama, or sometimes it's a drama comedy movie, which is like the best ones in Tunisia. Drama comedy. That's our like best top sellers.
And are they somewhat fantastical, or are the drama comedies basically
Oh no, it's
family?
really like about what's happening or about what happened or about the Arab Spring. We had so many of those. Oh my God, so many movies, about how it changed, how everything changed, how life of people changed from, in a couple of months, everything changed. So we had a lot of those, drama comedy or drama, just concerning the events that are going on in Tunisia. So people will like here in Tunisia will like get stuck in like a subject, they'll be like, oh, you remember what happened? Okay, let's do a movie about that. That's usually how it goes. It's it's not a lot of it's not very creative, I would say. They're simple movies, and usually it's because of the budget. Because the budget the government allow to, because you can give your scenario to the government and they will like decide if it's worth it or not, depending on the subject, and they will give you like the funds to do your movie. But independent movies, that's even a worse part. Like you see, let's say 4 to 5 movies, like big movies, like independent movies, and then short movies, uh, between 50 to 100, depending. And sometimes it's a doc, sometimes it's a short movie, sometimes it's just an animation, but still the same kind of like subject. It's either drama, comedy. We're very good at comedy. Tunisians are very funny, let's say, funny people. They love to joke. They love to, you know, create little jokes about stuff. When you talk, and then they'll catch that word and switch it, and we have that cultural like joking kind of thing when you talk. They talk a lot with their hands, like Italians. We move a lot when we talk. So you'll see that in movies, the gestures, and they're loud when they talk. We talk with them. Sometimes the tourists will ask me, "Are you guys fighting?" We're like, "No, we're not fighting. We're just talking." I'm like, "Are you so like screaming at each other?" No, just that's how emotional we get when we talk. Our language is like, Tunisian is a dialect from Arabic. It's says to be the hardest dialogue in the Arab countries. because it's
So
so mixed.
I was going to ask that. What? Yeah. So you guys speak you speak a variant of Arabic, and Tunisia has its own special variant. And I can well attest to both your excitement in speaking and the use of your hands. He's not lying, buddy. So and
Yeah.
you know, I also I've heard you not curse in Arabic and asked you for explanations before, and it was always quite
Okay, so this is funny. When we talk in Tunisian, we do actually curse a lot, but curses are like with degrees. Okay, when that's how it's kind of hard to explain. When you curse, it's using bad words, using like members of the body words, like that's fine. That's the lowest kind of curses you can use. But then you can go up and start cursing using religion, and that's when it gets really bad. It's actually, there's a law in Tunisia that you can go to jail for, like, if you get caught like cursing using religion, like stuff. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but especially when you get God involved, that's like the worst ever. If you want to really go crazy on someone cursing, and you just like insult, like for us, like this, I'm trying to translate. When you curse at someone, your God is a blah blah blah, and that's like, whoa, that's you cross the limit. You can curse at him, saying your mother is your brother, your sister. That's okay. That's fine. But once you say God or you say religion, or that's not good. So there's like different kind of cursing, but we do curse a lot. Tunisians do use a lot of bad words, and it's kind of sometimes tolerated. I mean, it depends with who you talk, but it's fine because everybody uses bad words. It's fine. You can say that. It's not a big deal. Sometimes, like if you were young, I mean, sometimes, oh, he said a bad word. Oh, it's fine. I mean, he's 12. It's okay. It's just, I'm like, oh, he's 12. Start cursing at 12. Okay, that's kind of young, but it's tolerated if it's not religiously like related. It's fine. That's the difference.
You say start cursing at 12. Is there an outsized number of smokers in Tunisia too, or is it what's drug use like in Tunisia?
Oh, it's completely, everything is illegal here. You cannot smoke here. I mean, you go to jail if you smoke here. It's a one year for one joint.
So cannabis. So what about
Yeah,
tobacco?
cannabis.
Do people
No,
smoke?
tobacco is fine. Everybody smokes here. Tobacco, everybody. It's like we're still in that phase of, oh, it's allowed to smoke in this area, or it's not. We're getting into that. It's not allowed to smoke here yet. I mean, it's just starting now. I mean, I remember last time I was in Austin, in Texas, and when it started, I think in 2005, when they started like, you can't smoke in a bar, you have to smoke outside, and that was long ago. That's 20 years ago, 19 years ago. So, and now in Tunisia, it's starting finally because everybody smokes here. Like a smoking cigarette, it's like everybody has a cigarette. I mean, you can walk on the street and ask someone, hey, do you mind? Can I have a cigarette? Usually, like 99% of the time, they're gonna say, yeah, sure, here's a cigarette. And a lighter too.
And do people do the like bag tobacco, or do they buy packs of
They buy the packs. They buy all those packs of known actually brands or Tunisian brands. We have Tunisian brands. We have maybe 3 or 4 different Tunisian brands, and then you have all the Marlboros and stuff, and all those different brands, and you can find them anywhere. Like there is not a shop you can go to and not find cigarettes. It's like there's something you're sure to find anywhere. It's cigarettes. It's just a crazy cigarette country.
What other, I don't know, what other things are distinctive about Tunisia?
The hookah.
Surprised.
The hookah. They smoke hookah. Yeah, especially during Ramadan.
Hookah is not hashish. It's not marijuana. What is hookah?
Hookah it's tobacco. It's tobacco. It
It's a
is
water
tobacco.
pipe.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
like
water pipe with tobacco and
it's a communal smoking water pipe for smoking tobacco.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
are there hookah lounges with couches and a water pipe in the center that you can
It's
just
worse than that. There's hookah lounges and there's cafes, which is regular cafes, but then regular cafes have hookahs everywhere. It's big here. It's hookah is big. Like I have family members, my uncles, I think every day. It's like an everyday thing. He has to go for an hour to the cafe, meet with his friends, and all of them have, each one of them has a hookah, and they all like smoking hookahs. You hear that sound. That's that weird sound when you get in a cafe or a hookah lounge. It's bubbles. You hear the bubbles. It's like you hear the whole cafe bubbling. And you can see it in the air. It's like smoke everywhere. It's just toxic, but it's crazy. And especially during Ramadan, after they have, after sun goes down and everybody eats, have dinner, and they finish eating, everybody goes to the cafe or to the nearest cafe or hookah lounge to smoke hookah. It's like after dinner, now we ate, we've been fasting all day. I had dinner, and now we go get our hookah. And it's like, your brain is getting in the right, frequency, I would say.
I can't decide whether I should move to Tunisia and a bingo parlor with hookah or if I should just do that here in the United States.
Oh, you don't have to smoke hookah. I mean, I don't smoke hookah, but it's kind of funny to see how everybody smokes hookah here. I mean, it's just almost a cultural thing, like just
When I lived in Boise, there used to be a hookah bar that I would visit quite frequently, and it was really fun to go in there. And it was interesting because you could smoke the hookah with everybody else, and you could also buy yourself a drink and have an alcoholic beverage. It was really
yeah.
cool. You just go in there and everybody's just lounging on the couches, just passing around the hookahs to everybody.
Well,
Is that
that's
Boise?
exactly what they do. Yeah, in the hotels. So for tourists, that's the thing. In any hotels you go to in Tunisia, you in the restaurant or in the cafe or in the lounge in the there or at the bar, you can ask if they have hookah, and usually they say, yeah, we do have hookah, and that's where tourists love to enjoy a hookah with a nice cold drink, alcoholic drink. So which is actually pretty nice. I mean, I've tried it, so that's one thing I would say. Yeah, it's pretty nice to have a hookah and a drink, fresh drink, and it goes well together. I would say it's a good, combination. It's a mix.
Boise, I didn't know you lived in Boise, Rusty, but Boise has a large immigrant community from I believe North Africa, and part of it has to do with a yogurt factory there.
Yeah, the majority of my family, my grandparents and the extended family are from Boise. And right after I got out of the Marine Corps in 2007, I got accepted to Boise State University for a few months.
Is that the Broncos?
Yeah, and that's the blue turf. And so whenever you see the football games of the blue turf, that's the Boise State Broncos.
Best football game I've ever seen was when the Broncos beat OSU, but that's another story. Yeah, what about food, Ayed? What kind of food do you guys eat in Tunisia?
Oh, it's as I said, it's very kind of Italian and French, but at the same time, we have, Tunisian food, and then you have the most famous couscous here, the fish couscous, couscous with the fish. It's like super, popular. We have the shakshuka. Oh, that's one good dish with a vegetarian dish that has pep. What else? Excuse me.
And do you get the? I've seen a Moroccan tagine. Is that sort of like
Yeah, you have the Moroccan tagine, and then you have the Tunisian tagine, of course.
what's
Yeah, we do have, and seafood. Seafood is very big here. Not a lot of people talk about it, but seafood is crazy. I mean, shrimps, octopus, stuff like that. It's super good. It's literally some of the best. And I've been to I've been to some countries where they, I mean, have very good, fish or seafood. And comparing to the quality we have here, I think we have very good like seafood. So seafood is very good. The couscous with fish is very popular. The shakshuka. Now, some salads are Tunisian salads. The Tunisian salad is like a mixture. It's spicy though. The pepper can get super spicy. And it's not the same spice that you'll find in different, like it hits you. It hits you kind of like on the outside. Like your lips will start like kind of burning, but then it won't stay for long. It's just like this is that feeling that you get when you start eating, and then it kind of like melts away, like it goes away, fades away, kind of. So yeah, for me, I think, I mean, from what I've heard, from what I've seen, tourists when they come here, they say food is just incredible, and fruits when you taste better. I don't know why, but it just tastes better. I don't know if it's the weather, if it's the quality of the of the land, of the earth, like so I don't know what it is exactly, but it tastes better and it's cheap. That's one thing that we need to mention, because it's super cheap. Food is cheap here, which is for me like a blessing. I mean, seriously, I can go out with 20 dinars, which is equivalent to $7. I can get a week of fruit, a week worth of fruit. Like literally, I can eat fruits for a week, from peaches to bananas to melon to whatever, and that's for $7. So it's very cheap. Like farmers are, we have a lot of farmers here, like a lot of people that work the earth and work on farms, and production is pretty good, but it's local. It's more like you go straight to the farmer. You buy it from the farmer. You don't buy it often from the shops or from the grocery stores. You go and sometimes you find those little like trucks, farmer trucks. They'll be on the road and they'll be exposing whatever they got that day, whatever they got. So you stop and you can bargain also. That's one thing. Tunisia, you can bargain a lot. They say 20, you say no, 15, you say 18, and then it keeps going. And you can get a lot of food for very good price, and it's good food. So yeah, when it comes to food, we're spoiled. Literally, like Tunisians are spoiled with food. So
you mentioned the dinar is the Tunisian currency. Earlier,
yes.
you said that 2008, sort of the political unrest that occurred then was due to massive price inflation. What have you seen prices settle down? Are you aware of how the government?
Well, it got better and better. I mean, it went crazy at a point. That's what happened. That's it. Well, how it all started, and now everything is getting back to normal. I would say, and when I say normal, so I mean regular prices, which make more sense because it's cheap. Really, I mean, it's not that expensive, and people here, they sometimes they can't afford. I mean, to buy sheep or beef, or so it's either fish or chicken or and vegetables. And when the chicken price and the vegetable price and the milk price go up, I mean it's done. I mean they can pretty much eat nothing. So yeah, I mean a baguette here, bread it's the price is how do you call it? The government is making a price into it. I don't know how do they do it. It's like they have a minimum price. I mean, you can't sell a baguette for more than 250 millim, which is 25 cents. So it's just divided by 3. It's like a 9 cents.
Yeah, so
8 9 cents for a baguette.
So the government's setting the prices for the staples. You mentioned beef and chicken. I was surprised you didn't mention sheep or goats. Are those?
No, I said sheep and beef are the expensive ones.
Oh, sheep.
Goats we don't. Yeah, sheep and beef. Actually, it's the most expensive is sheep, and then you have beef, and then we go to chicken and fish. So that's how it goes, kind of like so when you can afford sheep, that means you're rich. Oh, I'm eating sheep every day. It's like wow, or beef, or but if you eat fish, it means you're not that rich.
And how is like sheep usually prepared? Is it like
so we have 2 different ways. There's the north like way or the southern way. So the southern way is actually very well. Like I love it because they put it in a jar and they cook it under the sand. That's like an old traditional way, but it takes hours, like literally like up to I think 8 hours. So it's you put it in under the sand in the deserts. It's like 120, 130 degrees, and it just cooks slowly in a jar. And then you have the regular way, which is put it in a, you know, the oven or whatever. I mean, just not a lot of barbecue. They're not. I mean, they have barbecue. We have what we call the street barbecue. That I got a guy from a friend's company. He goes, "Hey, I want Arab barbecue." I'm like, "What is Arab barbecue?" Yeah, he goes, "I come to Tunisia not long ago, and they took me to this place on the road, and it's barbecue all over." Which is, I mean, we have these restaurants when you drive in some like between like villages, I would say. When you drive between them, you have like these restaurants that you can see the sheep, like they just slaughter it right there in front of you. It's crazy, I know, but then they cut it for you and they barbecue the whole thing right in front of you, and you can actually buy a whole sheep right away. I mean, if you're a big group, you can eat it. And of course, we don't eat only the meat; we eat everything. I mean, that's the rule. You can't leave stuff on a, you know, when you eat something, you have to finish it. Don't throw anything. That's like very bad if you throw a liver or lungs or no, eat them. Barbecue it, eat it. Just I know it might sound kind of like disgusting, but it's actually pretty tasty.
Interesting.
So,
I don't know that I've ever eaten lungs.
oh, you should. You should try. It's very good. Should
Probably
try.
that's called getting a second wind. Um, what about well, one, what's the reputation of the dollar? Can you like can you buy food in the dollar in Tunisia on the street? Do you have to change to dinar?
Well, there's one thing you should know first, that our currency is not exchangeable, which means that the only way for us to get dollars or euros or whatever other foreign currency is when you have a visa on your passport and you're traveling. You are limited per year to 6,000 dinars, which is equivalent to $2,000. But it's not for one trip, it's for any trip, whatever you do. So if I go to France and want to use my $2,000, I can use them. But then if I come back and I want to travel again, I don't have any money anymore. I cannot, even though I have dinars, but I cannot change them into dollars or euros or any other currency because our money is local and stays in Tunisia. We don't use foreign currency. It's crazy.
Very,
It's one of
very.
those rules.
Well, that's
Hmm?
probably. I mean, I'm sure that's like import export like controls on currency would be.
Exactly. It
Uh,
is exactly.
and what about euros? Are you allowed?
So Lucas,
Same. No,
I
no,
got
it's
this.
same.
Lucas, I got this pulled up right here. It's called a closed currency. I've never heard of such a thing. It's illegal to bring dinars in or out of Tunisia.
Yes, you cannot. I mean, you can go to jail because you have 20 dinars on you while you're traveling and you forgot about them and they caught you. They're like, oh, what are you doing there? You have dinars on you and you're going to France? Come here. Go to the police office. It's crazy. I mean, it's one of those rules that for me, it kind of makes sense, but at the same time, they should give us a higher limit. That's my thing. 6,000 dinars is way too low because of the exchange rate. I mean, if it wasn't to 3 times, which for me it's $1 is 3 dinars. I have to spend three
So
dinars for one
what
dollar.
about Bitcoin? Can you use Bitcoin in
Now,
Tunisia?
Bitcoin is completely illegal here. Completely illegal. I mean, if you want to do it, you do it secretly in your side on the side. You can't tell anyone. You don't have to. So, yeah, it's illegal. I mean, for Tunisians. But there is a law that says that it's illegal to use Bitcoin. But then I don't know how it goes. How can they catch you? I mean, how can I mean, you can't buy anything with Bitcoin for sure, because it's, for us, it's still like a big interrogation point. I mean, I know about it, but a lot of Tunisians are like, no, we don't even think about it. I mean, we can't even like use euros or dollars. I mean, we can change our money to that. So what's the point in using crypto money or whatever? So yeah, if you
And
can't go through that step of changing your dinars to another, foreign currency, there is no way for, looking to do crypto or anything else.
and how has the public responded to I don't know, an inability to exchange the dinar for other currencies? Are they,
Well, like me, a lot of people are asking for a higher limit, which will make more sense. It's okay to have like that, but 6,000 a year, man, what am I supposed to do with $2,000 travel around? I mean, how can I travel around with $2,000? And if I want to visit 2 or 3 different countries per year, and you cannot accumulate. I mean, every year it's only 6,000. You cannot, if you didn't travel for 2 years, you don't get 12,000. You get 6,000. Same. So that, for me, it's that limit that is really low.
and do you try to I don't know, go to Greece or somewhere fairly close and use up that travel budget every year?
No, actually, we do not try. Once we get like I mean, a visa, when we were planning on traveling, we really try to be smart about how much money we're gonna exchange. Because there's one thing also you can do. For example, you can go to a travel agency and you can get your hotel from here with dinars, which that's makes it easier. The travel agency can pay a hotel, can get you a hotel, and can pay for you in euro or in dollars or whatever. But and you can pay them, so you get everything paid before you actually go. So you get your hotel, you rent your car, you do everything, and then those 6,000 that you have, you decide how much you want to, really, have on you from that point. One other thing is you have cash, and I hate having cash on me. That's one other thing. They're starting right now to change something. Like some of the banks are starting to create this new card, like Visa or MasterCard, that you can use it for your travel with your passport. If you have a Visa, of course, you can get that card to put the money that you're, willing to use, from the 6,000 you have. So it's a lot of procedures, a lot of paperwork. So a lot of people are like, oh, okay, I'll get the cash, I'll take the cash, I'll put it on me, but it's risky. That's what I think. So anyway, so yeah, it's not easy to travel from Tunisia to any other European or a country, especially European.
Well, where do I would assume people would like go like down into Africa with all the options, going to see safaris or
Yeah, that's exactly. You're just, right there. You said it, safari. When you say, oh, I went to Africa, yeah, went for a safari. So that's the main purpose to go to another country in Africa. Go for a safari. Besides that, you don't travel that much to Africa.
are there religious exceptions? I mean, do Muslims get to go to Mecca um for the Hajj or
Oh yeah, yes, a lot will go for
and
that.
do they
We don't need a visa for that. You don't need a visa to go to Saudi Arabia. Actually, Saudi
that's
Arabia
actually
is open for Tunisian. Oh wait, I'm hearing my wife's. It's like one of those visas, that paper visa. It's not a visa that they put on your passport, because I don't know if you kind of. I guess you don't know how a visa look like uh, on a passport, or do you know? It's like a big kind of like portion. I mean, they take one of the papers of your passport, and they put it. It's written like literally. I'll send you one if you want. I'll show you. Visa for, either Schengen, which means the European countries, or for the US, or for the country, and you have your pictures, you have your reference number. Everything is put in there. It's like I don't know how to explain it, but I'll send you one. I'll show you how a visa look like. and the
Well,
procedures that you had to go through.
it used to be for American passports. A lot of the visas I would get were just stamps. But
Yeah, it's not a stamp. No, no, it's definitely not a stamp. It's just like a big thing that takes a whole page on your passport with your picture, and you have to go through fingerprints and stuff like that. Check everything. As I said, it's a long procedure to get a visa. That's why a lot of people are like, screw it, I'm not going. I don't want to go through the whole visa process. It's just too long. It's like they're putting such high standards for visa. You need to really be up there and have everything clear. Everything is fine. Like some people will be like, "Hey, I got a ticket I'm a speeding ticket. I think I'm not gonna get my visa." I'm like, "Are you serious?" "Yeah, I got a speeding ticket." They're gonna check it, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, you have a speeding ticket. No visa for you." It's like they're looking for excuses not to give you a visa, which is frustrating. So
that's true. What
yeah.
about how often do Tunisians go to Libya and Algeria, your neighboring countries? Are they too similar,
Ooh.
or
Uh, we stopped kind of going to Libya after the Arab Spring. I mean, a lot of Tunisian used to go to Libya for business or do business with Libya, but Libya kind of got a big, slap after the the Arab Spring. So economy went down, and a lot of people stopped visiting Libya as much. Algeria, on the other hand, is very cool. I mean, looks kind of similar, but it's more strict. It's a little more religious, I would say, in that way. See that kind of picture that you see on the beach in Tunisia? You won't see that many in Algeria, I guess. Because when I have Algerian friends to come visit, they'll be like, "Oh wow, you, it's crazy here. I mean, everybody's getting along with everybody." I'm like, "Yeah, it's not the same in Nigeria." And they're like, "No, that you won't see. That can't happen. Sometimes it's too much for them religiously. They're more into religions than us, I would say. It's not like we're not into religion, but we're more tolerant, I guess, somehow. Trying to change that mentality of stop being so freaked out about religion and everything is about religion. No, no, not anymore. It's changing. It's really changing in the right way, which I can see it clearly from now 15 or maybe 12 years ago till now. So,
so? What about like home ownership in because we were talking about I don't know price controls on food. Um,
mhm.
do most Tunisians own their homes? Do they rent their homes? How does that
Well,
look?
a lot of rent for sure. A lot of rent, but then a lot of right now trying to get, to own their own. And the government is helping them, and it's putting new laws to actually not let any foreigner be able to own. There is a new law that started not long ago, I think, or maybe a long time ago. They started it, but it was depending on the regions. That's what I remember, because I remember a French friend try to buy a house, and they said, no, there's no way you can buy a house. I mean, you cannot own a house if you're not Tunisian. But it was depending on the region, which is I thought it was weird, but then it was true, because touristic region, some of them, like I told you, there's some region that are very touristic where there's a lot of hotels, and those region allow foreigners to own houses, their own houses. But then down to Tunis, capital, and some other places, there is no way a foreigner can own a house, and that's to prevent and kind of like invasion, because it's so cheap. Finally, I mean, you think about it, the euro, the dollars are 3 times stronger than the dinars. And you come here, you'll be like, okay, I can buy a house with a pool on the beach for 1,000, 100,000, $100,000. So it's 300,000 dinars, and you get like one of the nicest houses ever. So yeah, it will be too easy for them. So yeah, they kind of put a law, restricting that.
Well,
So they can't really.
you definitely anticipated my sort of where I was leading into because I wondered if it was an outsized problem with Europeans looking to have a winter home in Tunisia, so they could I don't know, get out of those cold.
Yeah, well, now what they do is there is, of course, a law that allows if you, let's say you want to buy a house in Tunisia and you come here and we can actually buy it together, but I'm 51% and you're 49%. That's the deal. I have to be 51 at least, and you have to have 49 top that you can't have more than on the house. So if anything happened, I have the advantage because I have 51%. That's one other. So there is a way to get a house, but you have to have a Tunisian, associate with you, like a partner. So
Well, we'll talk. No, it's too far. It's much too far. What else? Anything else interesting going on in Tunisia that we haven't asked you about, or anything that comes to mind?
Uh, no, not really. I mean, it's going slow. It's I mean, I don't know if they have any of this in other countries, but during the summertime, we have what we call in. I mean, it's a French word, séance unique, which means one sequence, like um one one part. I would call that, and it's July, August. Uh, we drop the number of hours of work. Instead of 8, it's 4. We have, so everybody works half day. So I don't know if you knew about that. It's like
No,
a
I've never heard of that. I do. I'm well aware that France seems to take an entire month off and all travel together.
now, so we have 2 months that we work only half a day. So everybody works only from, kind of like a 9 to 1, shift. It's a one shift, summer
Yeah,
thing.
that's a daylight savings plan that I could get behind. I had like that. You've got my ears perked up right there. So what do people do? Is it because of the sporadic electric supply?
Well, it's because of how hot it gets, and because of, I mean, it's been there for a long time. I mean, this séance unique thing, I'm kind of against it, honestly. I don't like it that much because I think productivity wise, I mean, it goes down. I mean, it slows the country kind of a little bit, especially for people that works with other countries. I mean, they'll try to get a reach of you, and you're like, oh, I'm done. I don't work from starting 1 p.m. I'm done working, and let's say 80% of Tunisian will do the same thing. They've finished work, go home, have a good lunch, take a nap, and then go to the beach. That's the regular day of a Tunisian, regular person. Just, that's the everyday July, August. They do that all day. They go to the beach. They eat well, drink well, and nap and go to the beach. Long naps also. It's like a 3 to 4 hour nap.
And you say this causes problems with dealing with international clients.
Of course it does, because international clients will try to reach Tunisian companies in irregular hours, and then there will be no one to answer either emails or phone calls or anything. Even for me, sometimes I'll call, be like, hey, I need that, for work. And I'm like, oh no, it's closed already, can't do that, we're done. And everybody will like use that excuse. For me, it's an excuse because the government allow them to do that. So it's just like, just do it, work. I mean, come on, you can add an hour, but they won't. They will stop. Like they'll be like, I'm done. It's
You know,
hot. I'm
I
going to the beach.
well, France is having a lot of political issues with their retirees and their retirement age there. I could also see France loving the idea and incorporating half days for everybody half the year, and splitting their workers into, you either work in the mornings or you work in the afternoons. How is retirement life in Tunisia? Is there some sort of social security pension
Yes.
there?
Yes, there is. There is social security. It's very big. Actually, retirement is very cool here because you work till you're like what, 60, 62 top, and you're pretty sure you'll have very good retirement. I mean, it's because they have this social security like system that is very well put. I mean, and you get free care. That's one thing. I mean, you will never get anywhere else. I know of a lot of French, a lot of Italian, a lot of Americans also, not a lot, but some will come to Tunisia, as I said, to go to hospitals and stuff. Here's one story that just happened not long ago. So I had a Canadian friend that showed up and he got scratched by one of the cats. Then he got freaked out and he goes, "Oh, I need to get, how do you call it, the, the how do you call it, the
Attack.
vaccine? Yeah,
Oh,
the vaccine for just in case." And he started asking me, "So how long do I have to wait? How much is it?" I'm like, "Dude, it's free. You don't have to wait. You just go to the hospital, say, 'Hey, I got scratched by a cat,' and you just wait for 20 minutes and you get your vaccine, you get out." And he actually ended up doing different other vaccines that he doesn't need, but he was like, "I'm in Africa, so I'm going to do it anyway." And he got them all for free. He was shocked. He was like, "I didn't wait longer than 20 minutes and I got all those different vaccines that for free." I'm like, "Yeah, that's how it goes. Usually that's how it goes in Tunisia. A lot of free care for hospitals are just very well, like, good. They take care of people, like, so yeah, that part, retirement and hospitals, those two very, very good things in Tunisia. They're very well, like, the system is good
a
through
good
that
system.
part.
Well, you and
Yeah.
that brings up, and it's late. It's late in the episode. I think we should probably close it up here on
Yeah.
2 hours. But that
Okay.
brings up a question in my mind. What was the response to the COVID epidemic like in Tunisia? Was it if you already had free healthcare in the country and you already basically had restrictions on immigration and travel, did it make a huge amount of difference? What,
Well, people were scared, especially the first time, like the first, like, lockdown and all because it's new. But then when it started, like, the second one, the third one, and everybody was like, "Ah, it's fine. It's just COVID. It's nothing." And they started, like, laughing kind of about it. They were like, "Oh, everybody's still freaking out, and we're good." I mean, I've seen people that didn't wear a mask, man. I mean, I was shocked because I was scared, but then kind of like later on, a year later, I was like, well, finally, they were not that wrong. They were just, they knew it was not that big of a deal because you can get treatment right away. I mean, we had some, like, you know, big emergencies where hospitals were full and stuff, like everywhere else in the world, but it was very short time. Like, I mean, I remember it was very short time. We got in
and
very, very quick. COVID was very fast here. Like, it didn't last long for me. From what I've seen, I remember talking to family in Switzerland or in France. They're like, "Oh yeah, we're still wearing masks. We can get to the shops without masks." I'm like, "No one is still wearing masks here." So just it went by so fast.
very interesting. Well, that was my suspicion, was that
Hmm.
that
Yeah,
it wasn't
it it,
it didn't
it,
it
it
didn't
was very short.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
very
Well.
interesting. Well, Ayed,
All
uh,
right.
or Grant and Rusty, any other questions for Ayed before we close it out?
No, it's been fascinating to learn about Tunisia and sort of how some of this stuff works, especially this closed currency part. I'm gonna have to dig into this some more. This is absolutely cool. Thanks for coming on the show, Ed. This is super
Thank
interesting
you.
to
Thank
learn
you for
about
having me. Thank
North
you.
Africa.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Ayed, enjoyed it as always. Uh,
Me
looking,
too.
I love catching up. So we will more in the future, and
Okay.
until then, everyone,
Okay.
we'll be back tomorrow.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good day. Bye.